language, kia ora, ngā mihi nui, kia koutou, kia ora. I would like to acknowledge members from across the Asia-Pacific region and our generous Ecuadorian hosts. Mr. Chairperson, it is a privilege to be in this beautiful city of Quito, known as the middle of the world. This nickname is something we almost share in common. Thanks to Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit film, my country is now known as Middle-earth. Global cooperation on climate change is the theme of my address to you today. In the recent joint US-China statement on climate change, the two countries said, both sides recognise that given the latest scientific understanding of accelerating climate change and the urgent need to intensify global efforts to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, forceful, nationally appropriate action, including large-scale cooperation, is more critical than ever. The Asia-Pacific Parliamentary Forum was founded in 1993 as a body to encourage and enhance cooperation between nations. And this year, in Ecuador, we have an important opportunity to continue cooperating to address the greatest environmental challenge of our time. 6 years on from the Copenhagen climate talks, the international community can learn the lessons of that summit, and as we go into the 2015 Paris COP20, make it a success. 6 years on, the science screams urgency. We are seeing the impacts of global warming and the increase in temperatures, melting glaciers and ice packs, and increase in extreme weather events. New Zealand's neighbours in the South Pacific are on the front line of climate change and have their entire nations and cultures threatened by these rising sea levels. The impacts internationally could be on the scale of 5 to 20% of global gross domestic product and cost millions of lives. The Paris Conference of Parties meeting later this year may be one of the most important meetings of our generation. Paris, it's also known as the City of Love, and Paris, at the COP20, is also our chance to protect the planet that we love. As emissions have inexorably increased, so has the global movement for action. The international community, most recently at the Lima Climate Summit, have recommitted to avoiding the dangerous 2-degree threshold and set a no new net emissions target by 2050. 6 years on from Copenhagen, I am optimistic of the success of the Paris talks. We have seen the US-China statement, the US-India statement, progress at Durban and Lima, and across the world real action, be it in the phenomenal growth of renewable energies, climate laws and strategies in nations as diverse as Mexico, the UK and Nigeria, and we've seen carbon pricing in countries like my own New Zealand. Just overnight, Bloomberg published data showing that renewable energy investment in 2014 had increased 16% to $310 billion, just short of 2011's record investment. This figure is all the more remarkable given that solar energy's costs have dropped 40% since 2012. At Paris, the world has an opportunity to come together, to cooperate, to prosper by addressing our greatest collective challenge. At Paris, it is essential we cooperate to ensure ambitious action before and after 2020. The international community needs to work together to deliver a strong legal framework with clear rules, a central role for equity, finance for adaptation and transition, and most importantly, science-based emission reduction targets that achieves the no new net emissions by 2050 target. While it could be argued the recently published climate impacts chapter of the IPCC's report should motivate action, the opportunities of cleaner energy, healthier cities and greener economies should excite us into action. We can cooperate to address this threat, but also jointly prosper in a low-carbon world. Studies show there are 4 times or more jobs in clean energy than fossil fuels. We can grow jobs, develop our economies, and lift living standards. The technology to reduce emissions is available, it's affordable, and it's eminently desirable. Nations this coming month or months will be submitting their own individual emission reduction contributions. I urge you to support emission reduction targets based on the science to avoid dangerous climate change. In summary, at this global gathering, we can recommit to global solutions to this most global of problems. As our nation's parliamentarians, we have a challenge, a responsibility and an opportunity to work together cooperatively, constructively and positively to protect the climate and the planet that we love. Kia ora, muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias.
Very much. New Zealand and now Malaysia has the floor.